Welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic. Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Modern at the request of Patreon subscriber Rio. And I've got a little bit of a Esper control brew thing here. Rio loves the grindy blue soup decks I play in Legacy. He also plays them, and when Preordained got unbanned, took that as an opportunity to try to get a little grindy in the soup in Modern as well. One of the tricks with Modern is that grindy in the soup is kind of one of the best decks in the format, the 4-color Omnath deck. It is very easy to just go over the top of anyone, give it enough time with that stuff. Plus, the format is full of lightning fast, efficient decks like Tron, Burn, Scam, Hammer. A lot of ways to get you dead quick. Which means this deck has to kind of exist in the middle, which is a step back from the original conceit of how do we make grindy blue soup, because that's already a thing. This one leans kind of on like a mid-range tempo endgame. Reprieve is not a card that heckin' grindy blue soup decks want, because your opponent will just get that spell again later. And if you're not punishing them for taking a turn off, Reprieve kind of stinks. Which means we have to have a slightly aggressive win the game slant. And for that, we have Orcish Bowmasters, which is a threat that comes down earlier than most control decks play a threat. It's not huge, depending on the matchup, but it's on the board and pushing damage. Murktide Regent is the kind of big O that if you spend 2 mana on turn 4, put a giant creature into play, reprieve their removal spell, and then you're bashing. That's meaningful interaction. And Sheoldred, alongside the One Ring. This is an endgame that I really like in Modern. It's kind of the backbone of the whole Black Coffers deck at this point. I've played it in Legacy as well, in a Grixis shell, and it was really impressive even in the more powerful format. If the One Ring basically doesn't have a drawback, you lose 1 life for each counter on it, but Sheoldred gains 2 life for each card you draw. You're actually gaining life every time you tap the One Ring. And Sheoldred kills your opponent real fast. Protecting Sheoldred for 1 turn, probably, would be enough to win the average game of Modern. Especially if we're against those lower to the ground decks, like a Scam, a Hammer, a Burn. Get something going with Sheoldred, and they're going to fall behind quick. But Tron or Omnath could still go over the top. So we have our hard counters, we have our hard removal, we got Solitudes. Just a lot of solid cards here. Really, the only one I'm suspicious of is Reprieve. Maybe this should be Archmage's Charm or something more like that. Drown in the Lock, Dovin's Veto, Spell Pierce. There's a lot of things this could be, but I want to try this card. I haven't actually put it in a constructed deck yet. And I think we have built enough in the correct direction that Reprieve can be the time walk we're looking for, rather than just another generic counterspell. The sideboard is full of a bunch of stuff to slow down the busted Modern format. The list Rio sent me had 6 Leylines in the sideboard, 3 of the Void and 3 of Sanctity, and I changed all of them to just spells that do a similar thing. The Leyline of the Voids became Unlicensed Hearth, Leyline of Sanctity's Blossoming Calm, Subtlety went into those slots that functions to slow down. The same kind of decks that Leyline of the Void slows down. I just want to keep 7 as often as possible when I'm playing a deck like this, like Preordained, Reprieve. We got these cantrips. Lorien Revealed hitting your land drops, working our way up to the One Ring nice and slow. I'm not trying to multa 6 or 5 to chase a Leyline in any matchup, basically. And that's why I made the changes I did. But otherwise, all the same roles are being met. And that's the deck for today. Let's jump into it. This is Rio's Esper Control. I'm on the draw in round 1 with a 0 lander. 21 is not a ton of lands for a control deck, but we also have 2 Lorien Revealed and 4 Preordained. This one I'm going to keep. And I'm going to send Murktide Regent to the bottom. I think I'd rather Reprieve and Counterspell my way up to Murktide, and then get the ring going. I don't think this mana base is irresponsible. I do think it is pushing the limits, though. Well, welcome to Modern, kids. Prismatic ending off the top, or we're in some trouble here. Not a prismatic ending. It is a black source. I'm interested in that. Maybe I'm just supposed to play Rockrin Triome here anyway, because Rockrin plus the other Triome in the deck gets you prismatic or Leyline Binding. They exile a Polluted Delta off the rag. That's not too bad. But if I don't play the fetch land now, I can't get top deck Bowmaster to stabilize. Or I could just fetch Watery Grave. Yeah, I think I should have played Rockrin Triome there. Thoughtseize takes my ring. Thoughtseize probably taking Counterspell here. Yep. My thoughts are sufficiently seized. And I'm just going to get the Triome now. The other thing I could get is Watery Grave, and Triome does everything that does too. Always had it. I'm going to end this rag and hope they don't have another one. Scam spells don't save it here. But they are untapping into possible 4-mana hardcast Grief, and then I really got to figure it out from there. But Scam putting you into top deck mode is kind of their thing. Ooh, ETB tapped land. Uh-oh, main deck Blood Moon would be a problem right now. Wow, no spell, pass into my Reprieves. Are we doing it? They know what my hand is. And they didn't play any spell with 4 mana available. What's going on over there? Their hand must be all like lightning bolts and fatal pushes. Hello. Alright, well, get in there, Teferi. I'm going to plus Teferi. There's nothing to bounce, and if my read that their hand is all lightning bolts is true, I'd rather make them spend 2 lightning bolts to clear Teferi. I guess they could cast Fury this turn. Fury could be a card they have. Shit. Drawing land number 5. I'm probably about to get Furied, actually. That doesn't kill Teferi, but it does put a difficult thing in play. Okay, lightning bolt. And wow, okay. They must have a scam spell under there, because they can kill the Teferi first and then scam the Fury. Okay, yes indeed. Well, now I need a removal spell, but we did figure out their hand, and it was Lightning Bolt and Fury. And Terminate. So the read was correct that it was all removal spells. Okay, another Teferi is fine. Murktide is real big here. Preordain. I think I tap Watery Grave to do this. I have more relevant white spells than black ones right now. Prismatic Ending doesn't help. I will keep the Preordain. That's just 3 more looks at an answer to this thing right now. Leyline Binding does it. Solitude does it. Okay. Bottom, top. I wonder if I was supposed to keep that land and just take 8 and hardcast Solitude next turn. I don't know. I'm just solituding this thing now. Opponent's Hellbent versus my Reprieve. However, we're in the spot now where Reprieve is mid, and I would much rather this be Counterspell or Archmage Charm, as most of the cards in their deck are cheap. If I like Reprieve a Thoughtseize, they just play it again. Okay, 5 mana available. Let's see where this goes. We are stable and both players top decking. Oh, I guess I have to Reprieve this thing. I don't want to be drawing cards once it's in play. Well, the ring's pretty good, actually. But they do have this jerk. Please don't grief me right now. We're both top decking, but I just found a ring. I go to 11 here. And they did not have a spell to play. Lorien revealed. That's almost good, except for the Bowmaster. A 1 ring. I am going to draw a card now. That makes their army bigger, but that doesn't affect the damage this turn. I'm going to have to find removal anyway. Pinging their army. And I could cycle Lorien revealed to get the biggest possible Murktide. Yeah, I think I am going to do this, because I can't really play this Lorien revealed into the Bowmaster anyway. I'm a ways away from figuring that out. And I'm going to get and play Basic Island, just in case they Blood Moon me. A Blackglaive Cliff's tapped after not playing any card last turn. Come on, Sheoldred. No, I need removal for Bowmaster. That's better than Sheoldred. Okay, I can take an extra 1 here to dig for an answer to Bowmaster. If they have a second Bowmaster, it sucks, but I think this is worth doing. Teferi and my own Bowmaster. We've got it all. Okay. Top. I'm just going to play my Murktide and hide the Bowmaster in my hand. 8/8 creature. I'm winning the race. They could have a scam spell, which makes me not even really want to Bowmaster their Bowmaster if I don't have to. If I just have them dead. Oh, sweet, they're attacking? Please attack. If they attack with Bowmaster, then they're showing me that they have a scam spell and they're just trying to get 1 extra damage out of the situation, and then I can ping their master in response to the scam spell. Okay, now it's a little awkward. I guess I just block the 3/3. Yeah, I don't really want to go to 6 and risk dying to lightning bolts and ring pings. And I'm drawing to fairy this turn, which means I can play around their scam spell and do everything I want to do here. Here's to fairy. They're re-Bowmastering in response. Okay. I'm at 6. Teferi resolves, and then I can Bowmaster one of your Bowmasters. And if I bounce Bowmaster, what does that do? It gives me a card on a turn right now where I don't get pinged for it, but they do get to replay theirs and ping mine. I think it might be better to just leave them on a 2-turn clock and not do anything else. Just plus Teferi and attack you for 8. I guess if I was doing that, I could have held my Bowmaster back and just let them get PTFO'd in combat. My plan was to clear their 1 Bowmaster and then draw a bunch of cards with the ring into Fairy, and then the second one, I adjusted to half the plan, but not enough. I should have just kept this Bowmaster in my hand and blown them out in combat. But Big Mercs did the thing. Unlicensed Hearse, Supreme Verdict, Subtlety are all cards I like here. Blossoming Calm is in the maybe zone. Strong card against Thoughtseize and Lightning Bolt. We actually just saw why Reprieve falls off in some matchups there, and I don't really like it here. I like my rings, Sheoldreds, Bowmasters. Teferi is fine at turning off scam things, but it is kind of slow. Solitude, Leyline Binding, Prismatic Ending are my best cards in the matchup, so I'm obviously keeping all of those around. Bowmaster for their Bowmaster is important. Lorien Revealed being part of the mana base means I'm not likely to cut that. And maybe Teferi just isn't that good. It's nice turning off scam spells, but it happens for 3 mana, and this card just lines up so poorly against Bowmaster, which is a big part of their deck. Yeah, I'll just bring in all these anti-creature cards. Dress Down is also reasonable for the matchup, but I think I'm out of cuts, and that is the 7th and 8th cards I want to bring in. I already have the first 6. I'll keep this hand. I can ignore Blood Moon for the most part while answering Ragavan or casting Preordain. Grief pitching Voidwalker. Okay, they're doing the thing here. Took Prismatic Ending. Not that after all. I suspect Bowmasters will go here. They skipped their chance to take both Preordains. Yeah, they're just trying to cut out from underneath me. A basic island Preordain. Unlicensed Hearse, a little late to the party. Bottom Hallowed Fountain for sure. I have to answer Grief before I can really do anything else, and they've already scammed me once. I think I bottom the Hearse and just try to find a white spell now. Now they're showing me Bowmaster. Dashing Rag, sure. Here comes the pain. Rag, exiled Hallowed Fountain. Didn't want that one. Solitude, okay, so finding any white card off of Preordain gives me some action here. I could also hold up Counterspell to answer the Rag for a turn, take 4, and then spend a turn looking for Solitude answers. I don't hate that one. I think I have to use my life total as a resource here. I'm functionally at 6. Like, I have to fetch Shock. I'm at 12. They attack me, I'm at 8. And then when the Wicked roll dies, I'm at 7, not 6. Okay, here's the Rag that I took the time to play around. Or acknowledge. Not really playing around it, it's still happening. But Counterspell this. Oh wait, I am at 6. I did the math right the first time. Dash a second Rag, just show me what's up. Ugh. This Bowmaster, now I'm at 5, facing down 2 power. And if I have to Preordain to find the white card. Ugh, okay. This looks bad, team. I'm at 3 on board here. But I do have to Preordain, or else I lose. And if I fetch, I'm at 2. No, the Bowmaster. That would be good if I didn't have to fetch Shock to cast it. And we're dead. Grief has Menace. This Murktide's not big enough to get through. Okay. I did board out 6 white cards, and then get stuck with Solitude in my hand and no white card to pitch to it. Maybe Counterspell is just not good, or at least not good in those numbers. Chalice on 1 in this matchup shuts down their Scam Engine, Lightning Bolt, and Thoughtseize, but it also shuts off my Preordains. On the play, Teferi is a little more stable, and it's a blue and white card for Solitude and Subtlety. Okay, I will keep this one. I've got my whole engine set up and multiple removal spells. If I get scammed, I get scammed. Okay, land go, I love that. I'm going to get the Rockrin Triome here. Sick. Now I can Leyline Bind off of Zagoth Triome. Or Watery Grave. I could chuck in Watery Grave and spend 2 on my Leyline Binding, that works too. I don't know why I would ever do that. Okay, I am going to fetch for the Zagoth. There is a small conversation to be had about not fetching it all there. What if they turn 3 Blood Moon? What if... Oh, they're going to Bowmaster now that I'm tapped out of Counterspell? Sure. I have answer to this ready. I also actively want land number 4. Like, that is pretty important to me. Sick. Okay, I'm going to bow their bow right now, and I'm still holding a Prismatic Ending. Or not ending, Leyline Binding. My brain, 100% of the time, just wants to call these the same card. Prismatic Binding, Leyline Ending. I'm going to put the Leyline Binding in between the 2 Prismatic Endings in my hand for maximum confusion. If they Blood Moon right now, I'm in kind of a tough spot. Fable, sure. You get your Goblin. I'm happy to trade off Orc armies here. That's a deal. I can bind the Fable in the end step. Or, yeah, I'm just going to bind the Fable. Because looting into it is reckless, but I plan on killing the Goblin anyway. Ooh, that changes everything, actually. I'm just going to shove the One Ring. Watery Grave. I'm just setting up my Sheoldred for next turn. I'm going to draw a card with Ring now before they can Bowmaster me. And they're going to get their treasure, but hopefully it won't matter much, because we're in the end game now, Stark. I take no damage from this, but they do get their treasure. Shocked and Blood Crypt. This is probably a Hardcast Fury. Oh no. Well, I've got something like that too. I could spend a turn dealing with their Sheoldred with Prismatic Ending, or I could shove my own, and then we're life neutral on the exchange. Active player, non-active player. So I would lose 2 before, or lose 4 before I gain 4, but I'm not quite dead on the spot. Okay. My own Sheoldred, get in there. 2 can play at this game. And let's draw some cards. I drew the Leyline Binding. That is exactly the card I was looking for. The reason to do this in the main phase. Shock this down, and now I can clear Sheoldred. I should probably do it now before they start gaining life. It just shut down there. Or I should have done it pre-combat, because Orcish Bowmaster is not going to block. Okay, it's fine. Terminating my Sheoldred after they lost 2 life. Deal. Okay, don't have a discard spell, because I can re-Sheoldred here, and then we're just right back in business. I am still not blocking this Goblin. If Sheoldred works, I don't care about it. If Sheoldred doesn't work, I'm probably losing. No! The grief. And those are both my Sheoldreds. Okay. They did it. I think we're dead at this point. I don't even know if I can beat my own ring, even if they stop attacking. Solitude is pretty good, I guess. Start gaining some life back. I think I just draw with the ring. Go to 2. Lorien revealed. A Preordain. Blossoming Calm. This just gains me 2 life straight up, right? Yeah, it does. All right, put that on top. And then Prismatic Ending. The Goblin Shaman. Play Hallowed Fountain tapped. Play the Unlicensed Hearse. Rebound is in your upkeep. So I can gain 4 here. I'm effectively at 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I can be alive next turn. Let's hope they target me with something too. I guess I have to Blossoming Calm now. If they bolt in response, I'm dead. Yeah, maybe I'm supposed to do this in the upkeep. Okay, I'm at 7. I'm at 4. Fable. Re-Fable. Okay, they're dumping them out now. End step, exile some stuff from their graveyard. Upkeep, I have 2 triggers. Make sure that Blossoming Calm happens first. I have Hexproof until my next turn. That includes all of their turn. Another ring saves me here. Okay, Re-ring. Draw 4. All right, we got the re-ring. Ding, ding, ding. Re-ring. Okay, I believe it is re-ring, Murktide, re-ring, keep the new one, protection from everything, Murktide. Don't have enough spells to make it fudge normous. It's just normal large. And probably not going to be drawing many cards with this ring. Let's see if they want to loot into this Bowmaster. Heck yeah. Bowmaster paying the grief. I'm much more worried about that than I am about treasure tokens. They have so much mana already. You want to go again? Yeah, you do. All right, went for 1 this time. Okay, 1 to the dome. My creatures are big enough to beat the goblins in combat. I don't think I care about Voidwalker. It's not enough to 2-for-1 myself over it. End step. Exile Grief and Thoughtseize from their graveyard. I will not be drawing cards with the ring. I have a counterspell for a lightning bolt. Draw for turn. Ooh, another ring. Okay, if I Prismatic Ending, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana still up. That's enough to counterspell and Bowmaster, and I can pitch Lorien Revealed to Subtlety. Exile your Voidwalker. And I'm going to attack with Murktide and Orc Army. But that doesn't change the clock, unless they have a removal spell. But I can counter a removal spell. Yeah, just Murktide. Just make sure I don't die on the crackback. Okay, 3 life, 1 counterspell in hand. Have them dead on board. And I don't think I want to ring, re-ring. I think I'd rather counterspell than do that. They have exactly 2 cards in hand. It has to be 2 lightning bolts or Thoughtseize plus lightning bolt for them to win here. Yeah, Murktide. We talked in the deck tech about how this build of a deck like this needs a way to actually win the game quickly. You can't just dawdle around with like Shark Typhoons or whatever. No offense to Shark Typhoon, you know I love you. But yeah, just like get tenuous stability, shove a 6/6 or 8/8 flyer into play, and your opponent's dead in 2 hits. That was an exciting game. On to the next one. Shout out to Blossoming Calm. This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks, and groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there. On the draw in round number 2, I'm going to keep this Preordain hand. One thing that I do like about Reprieve, and I did consider this in deck building, though I don't think I mentioned it in the deck deck, is it's white for Solitude. All other things being equal, Reprieve is white for Solitude. I am almost certainly going to Solitude this Hedron Crab on my turn. And my life total doesn't matter here. Preordain. I don't think I need 3 Bowmasters in this matchup either. And I am going to zap this Hedron Crab before it gets a single card off me. Mill, huh? I am not set up for this matchup. There's no Emrakul at my sideboard. Mill loves farming slow control decks like this. So Murktide Regent, pretty solid for what we're doing. Another Solitude. Okay, I'm actually going to hold up Bowmaster this turn, because getting something on the board is good. I do have to reduce their life total to 0 somehow. They just spent a whole turn cycle without casting any spells. They might have Drown in the lock. Don't think I am worried about that, though. Okay, damage is on the board now. They tapped and then untapped a Swamp. Do they have Fatal Push? And then realize that that doesn't do a lot. They do have Fatal Push. Okay. Luckily, Bowmaster has 2 creatures. What a treat. Counterspell. Interesting. I think I want to attack first. I don't know if Mill has also adopted Bowmasters. That seems completely contrary to what their deck is even about. I'm going to Preordain here. I'd love to start hitting land drops and hold up this counterspell. And I don't think they would have Fatal Pushed my Bowmaster if they had one of their own. They just have a much better answer to that already. Something's happening, though. Are they going to Drown in the lock? Are we playing Tempo Mill? Yeah, we are. Cool. Okay, Tempo Mill. They've milled me for 0 cards going into turn 4. However, they have answered multiple of my spells. Visions, Sealed Cycle, Oboro, and Tasha's Heinous Anus. This exiled Leyline Binding, 2 Leyline Bindings, Lorien Revealed. Yeah, wow, my deck has a pretty tasty average mana value here for Tasha's reasons. It was still good for 12 cards, but I got a lot of expensive stuff in my deck. And I'd love to shove Murktide this turn and get to work on this life total for real. But I cannot because I don't have enough cards. I'm 1 short. That Tasha's being Tasha's and not being any other mill spell. Grant my style. But holding up Counterspell for this turn cycle. Opponent's down to 2 cards in their hand. I still have 37 cards in my deck. Surgicaling my Bowmasters, sure, have a peek. They also get to see my hand here. They see that I'm holding a Murktide Regent. It's disappointing. But now they know that milling me might not be the best idea. Although, I don't know what other idea they have. It's also really hard to drown in the lock a Murktide Regent, because it's a 7-drop on the top, and it exiles 5 cards from your graveyard on the way before it's even on the stack. You need 12 cards in your graveyard for Drown in the Lock to beat a Murktide. Oh, and they left the Bowmaster that's in my graveyard still there. That's an MTGO thing. You actually have to click on the card you want to exile. It doesn't just go. And that may or may not matter, because I was just saying I'm 1 card away from Murktiding. Reprieve, okay. Reprieve and no white mana. Yeah, the first Preordain failed me, and then the second one got countered, so we're in a world of my opponent's design here. That aggressive counterspell on my Preordain might have been smart. Okay, they cycled a Fractured Sanity, which turns on Murktide for next turn, and it's not a spell, so I can't counter it. I have 8 cards in my graveyard. Reprieve is a white card for Solitude if they find another crab anywhere. They did just mill a counterspell too, if they have another Surgical. Sheldok Isle, okay. We're still a big spell away from that one being on. But I suspect if I tap out for this Murktide, they're gonna make it rain on me. But I'm still gonna do it. I'm gonna attack first though. Alright, Mercs, make it happen. It is not full size, unfortunately. And I am gonna exile my Sheoldred. Or no, my Solitude. I'm gonna exile my Solitude because I'm holding one in my hand and they know it. I don't want them to be able to Surgical an actual card. Okay, the shields are down. They have 3 cards in their hand plus Sheldok Isle activation. Mill could do it from here. I'm just kind of hoping their hand is all Mindbreak traps. 3 Atasha's was good for 6 cards. Oh my god. Solitude, Leyline Binding, Lorien Veiled, Leyline Binding. Millstone would have hit more cards than that. This is a layer of the modern format that I had not considered before. The Troll of Khazad-dûm Lorien Revealed stuff really messes with the count on Tasha's Hideous Laughter against specifically Mill, which is great because Mill is cursed and we don't like it. I found another land that does not turn on Archive Trap. Do I have to search? Each opponent searches, yes, okay. So they can turn on Archive Trap if they want to. They milled my basics. My plains is gone. I have 2 islands. I can still hold up Counterspell. Yeah, they gotta kill me with the 1 card in their hand, the card under Sheldok that's currently not on, and they gotta do it through Counterspell. Okay, we're getting an activation. A float of blue. This does put me to 21 cards in my deck if I choose to get the island. They said oops in the chat. Why? I don't know why they said oops. Oh, because it was in my main phase. I could have cast the 1 ring there, but Counterspell is still better. Okay, you get 2 spells plus a Sheldok to either stay alive or kill me through Counterspell. Can you do it? I hope not. Otawara is probably one of the best cards they could have here. Right, Sheldok just turned on because I drew for turn. And they're dead. Okay. This game came down to that turn 1 pitch Solitude on the crab. Just if that crab was in play for the game, I would have been in trouble, but instead I was not in trouble, which is better than being in trouble. Blusterstorm looks good. Blossoming Calm is kind of mid. Some of the stuff in their deck targets and some doesn't. It's probably better than like some other shit that I could have. Let's see how this lines up. The 1 ring actually seems kind of cursed here because I don't actually want to be drawing 4 or 5 cards a turn against Mill. The white removal is pretty medium, but like we just saw, keeping the crabs out of the game is important. I don't play an Emrakul. I don't think I want to unmoored ego them and just like name Tasha's or something. I don't think that's how the game gets won. Subtlety is a flash threat. Even if it's not actually countering spells, like leaving up a counter, and then if they don't play a spell, put a 3/3 into play and start bashing. Like that Bowmaster token got in for a lot that game. I think it took a whole turn off the clock, and go back and look, I guess, but I'm pretty sure it was the difference between a third Marktide attack or them being dead to the first one, or the second one. Reprieve is kind of mid. One ring, not really what the game's about. I can probably go a little skinnier on, or Leyline Binding insulates against the Tashas, so I think Reprieve, I think all of my one rings and one Reprieve come out, and that's a 60 card deck. I can still respect the crabs as much as I need to. Chalice of the Void turns off Surgical and crabs versus my Preordains. I actually don't hate that. Oh, and my Blossoming Calm. I still don't hate it. It's just like one thing in the deck that might turn off a couple of their cards. Teferi turns off Sheldok Isle, so he's still in. Immediately on the hook for a fetch if they have Archive Trap, but here we are. I'm in. I can answer a crab with Solitude, and you know me, I will. Opponent went to 5. Woof. Let's get them. The 4 cards in their hand are 4 Archive Traps. Get ready. Here it comes. I'm going to fetch shock in a Watery Grave. Because I'm holding this Bowmaster, I would rather have the black on lock. I don't want Prismatic Ending. I might want Teferi. We didn't get trapped. We did it. That's the first stage of development. Handled. Blue-black, Swamp Island. And I'm going to fetch shock a Hallowed Fountain now, and then just pass. I don't want to give them another draw step to find Archive Trap if they don't have it already. They are showing me Drown in the Lock. I am going to play my Flash Threat, because that is part of the sideboard plan that I put together. There's Drown, that's fine. That means Teferi will rock out. I'm just going to keep fetching while I'm pretty sure they don't have a Mind Break or a Archive Trap. And here comes Teferi. Plus that, shut off a large percentage of your deck. Now they can't Archive Trap me unless they do it sorcery speed. All their Drown in the Locks are dead. And they could shove a Jace here. That would be pretty annoying. Woof, of course. All right, well, I deserve that. I mean, not that I had a counterspell, but here we go. Target player mills 3. Then if a graveyard has 20 or more cards in it, you draw a card. You draw 3, otherwise you draw 1. Okay. They did do that one. Hit Solitude, Ending, Binding. I don't have any of my tech lands in play right now to get creative with Prismatic Ending. I'm going to Preordain. Blossoming Calm, this targets, right? Hell yeah, it does. Okay. Top. Keep them all. Minus Jace, target nothing, or Teferi, target nothing, and pass. Target player mills 3, Blossoming Calm that. And that stuffs the whole ability. Now they have to plus Jace. Sheldok Isle doesn't work with Teferi in play. If you haven't seen that before, it's because Hideaway casts the hidden spell as part of the resolution of the Hideaway ability, and you cannot cast sorceries while other abilities are resolving. If I find a land here, I can start jamming Solitudes. I get the Blossoming Calm for another turn. Oh yeah, here we go. Now Jace has to plus for a turn, and then Solitude just jumps in and murks it. I hope they play a crab this turn and just give me a little bit of everything. Yep, Jace plussed on nothing. End step, Solitude. They can channel Ottawara or cycle the Sanity card. Fractured Sanity? Is that what that card is? Sanity Grinding? No, Sanity Grinding is the Chroma one. I think it's Fractured Sanity. They can cycle their Sanity card or channel Ottawara, but no spells are allowed. Kill the Jace and pass with another threat and multiple counter spells in hand. I don't play a basic Swamp. Oh, sick. Well, I was going to play Solitude this turn anyway. I don't play a basic Swamp, so a Field of Ruin effect would actually get me. Okay, do I want to spend an extra card to protect 3 cards from my deck? I can Prismatic Ending. They fetch in response, then I Solitude in response, but I don't think the ending in my hand is worth 3 cards in my deck. I'm just not worried about a lot here. Yeah, they fetch in response, that's fine. They mill me for 3. They did hit a counterspell and a Murktide if they were so inclined to surgical those. Here's the Sheoldred. I was just saying I haven't found another black source. I'm going to minus Teferi to draw a card. I don't think I'm in danger of dying, and if that was a black source, I'd feel good about it. But okay, pass. They still got to get through 2 counterspells with their 3 cards in hand. My throat! This is not where I spend my interaction. They're still dying, and they're still not killing me. Re-Teferi. Attack. And if I re-Teferi, that draws a card right away. I am going to re-Teferi. I would like to get the Sheoldred down and start winning. Maybe this is greedy, but I'm going for it. Okay, didn't find a black source still, but I did hit a land drop, and I'm still holding up 2 counters against their 3-card hand. Cool. Wow, just handled mill 2-0 with a control deck. That generally doesn't happen. I don't know if my opponent played too reactively, or if they kept hands that didn't come out hard enough, or if really just my interaction lined up so well that they didn't get anything going, but those were 2 largely stress-free games against mill. On to the next one. For the absolute best Magic the Gathering apparel on the market, check out the link in the video description to coalesceapparel.shop, and be sure to use the code BoshNRoll for 10% off when you check out. I'm on the draw in round 3. I'm going to keep this hand. It has some interactive stuff in it. We'll see if it lines up and if I'm still alive when we get there. My opponent played this, whatever this is, Expedition Marsh Flats, and my brain immediately registered it as Ancient Tomb, which obviously is not a card in this format. I was going to play Zagoth Triumph tapped, but now that I drew Leyline Binding, if I get Rockran Triumph into play now, I can bind next turn by playing Zagoth as my land. I'm going to leave my options open and just play a fetch land. The opponent had mulled to 6 also, and we see some Blood Crypt action. Okay, this looks like a Bowmaster all day, every day. Rockran Triumph into play tapped. And maybe I just leave up Counterspell here. Though I have multiple answers to a Bowmaster. If I play Flooded Strand, I could fetch Shock and still Leyline Bind off of a Watery Grave by paying 2. If I play Zagoth Triumph, binding is 1, but I can't Counterspell. If I play Island, I can't bind, but I can Counterspell pain-free. I think I just want the Flooded Strand to keep my options open. And I am not going to counter this Bowmaster. I have multiple pieces of creature removal in my hand. What's the rush? If the opponent does something like shove Blood Moon, I would like to be able to get my planes in response and just play Magic around it. Or counter it. A Shocking and Blood Crypt. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. This is probably a counterspell target. Teferi, pretty bad against Orcish Bowmasters. It's known. I think I just want basic here. But I'm working my way up to Solitude. Yeah, I'm just going to get basic. Protect my life total. They had a really slow start, and that plays into the strengths of my deck, and I'm just going to try to run with it. Prismatic Ending, the Bowmaster, and might as well play the Zagoth here. I don't have a 1-mana spell I could play, and this sets me up the best for the rest of the game. Fingers crossed right now that something messed up doesn't happen. Bowmaster. Annoying, but mostly fine. Fury. Oh, we're scamming this buddy out. Sure. I would love to draw a white card. Okay, gonna think about this for a second. Yeah, I'm gonna wait to draw a white card. If I Solitude the Fury now, they both gain less life and the Wicked token doesn't hit me. But I think giving myself a chance to draw a card here is the best way around it. Ooh, no attack. That didn't have Summoning Sickness. Not interested. Love it. Counterspell. Alright, we got an oops LOL in the chat. Okay, I agree. Oops LOL. This is my next white source, so I can hardcast Solitude next turn. And binding costs 1. Yeah, I'm just gonna bind the Fury out of here. Hold up Counterspell. Or do I play Teferi now and just plus it? No, Counterspell's better than Teferi here. I have 2 more life than I'm supposed to right now. Opponent's Hellbent versus a Counterspell. Solitude can sweep their whole board next turn if they just go into combat. They didn't play a land or a spell, though. That makes me think they have a removal spell. I hate that. Reprieve. I guess I just pass here, because Teferi basically doesn't work in any way that you'd like when the Bowmaster's in play. Another Bowmaster. That's actually fine. Okay, are they going to read Solitude from my hand? They have a Ragavan. Okay. Please attack with everything. Cool. Alright, Solitude on the cast. I'm going to exile Ragavan. I don't want them grinding back into this in any kind of way. I'm going to block a Bowmaster and take 1 from this combat. And then Teferi, bounce Bowmaster. Oh, that might be better. This is a 5/5. And I can hold up a counterspell underneath it. Yeah, top decking opponent facing down a 5/5. I'm gaining life. I think we're over the hump here. Yep, cool. All right. Another game up against Scam. The Hearses, the Subtleties, the Supreme Verdicts, the Blossoming Calm. We've seen this before, and I'm not convinced that my plan has changed. Now I just have to remember what my plan was. I think the Reprieves came out, and some counter spells, and one of the Teferis. I think this is where I ended up last time. I had more counter spells in game 2 last time, but they ended up being bad, and I ended up on this setup. Would I rather have dress downs than any number of counter spells? I don't think so. Counterspell's better with Murktide, and when we get to that space of stability, I'd rather have Counterspell in my hand than dress down. Okay, I can answer a Ragavan, and I'm going to hit my land drops. That's enough for me to keep a hand on the strength of. If I get scammed out, I get scammed out. Thoughtseize is fine. They took the Teferi. Leyline Binding. Okay. I'm going to play the... Oh, I have multiple Lorien revealed in my hand. I'm not worried about Blood Moon. I was about to say maybe I should think about how to get my basic into play because of Blood Moon, but I can tutor my 2 basics whenever. This is just going to be the Rockran Triome. Yeah, here we go. This was the best possible outcome. I just drew an answer to a Scammed Fury, and now they're going to spend 3 cards doing that. And just got to hope they don't follow up with a Thoughtseize. So I fetch Rockran here. Then I shock in Watery Grave and bind this thing. Shock in Watery Grave. Do I need to bind it now? Does that matter? I don't think they have any flicker effects that don't come in and out of the graveyard. Yeah, just going to bind it. They got 3 cards over there. They didn't dash a Rag. If they dashed a Rag, I would have done Bowmaster instead. Kill the Rag. 2 blockers for the Fury. Marsh Flats. Basic Swamp. Turok. Oh dear. You know how much toughness Turok has? You just check in. Has anyone counted? I'm going to shock in Hallowed Fountain, and I think I'm just going to pass the turn here. This Blossoming Calm. The nuts. Orcish Bowmaster. I guess I should have done this on my turn. Now they can scam it. Whoops. Or they had 1 up anyway. Okay, they can still scam this thing. That's mostly fine. I have 2 black blockers in play. And I am going to cycle... oh shit, I just grew Turok. Whoops. Yeah, fast and loose, baby. Okay, I'm going to get the Zagoth. Do I even need that anymore? It's still fine. Yeah, I'm going to get the Zagoth. Okay, play Zagoth. Prismatic Ending the Wicked roll actually seems pretty cool here. And I'm not happy about it, but it brings Turok back into the zone where I can defeat it in combat. As long as I don't cycle another Lorien revealed, I should be able to survive having to discard anything. If they have their own Bowmaster, it's annoying. Phyrexian Metamorph. Ugh. What a card. Yeah, that's a cool one. I've not seen that card in this deck before. Can't say I'm a fan. All right, I'm going to leave my Orc army back. They've got multiple 1/1s now that I'd like to keep control of. If I cycle Lorien revealed now, I know Turok gets bigger, but that lets me Blossoming Calm and Sheoldred. And I'm not going to cast Lorien revealed into the Bowmaster. Sheoldred is bigger than Turok. They'd basically have to have Terminate. Blossoming Calm doesn't protect Sheoldred, though. But being Hellbent does protect me from Turok getting bigger than Sheoldred. This is tough, but I am going to grow the Turok again. And I'm going to get Basic Island. Got all my colors here. Solitude. Black, black 2, big Sheoldred. And I'm going to pass. The Metamorph's actually really interesting tech because they can just send that Bowmaster into combat, scam it, and it can come back as a Sheoldred. Fable, okay. I'm just going to try to let Sheoldred solo this game. And I'm untapping into Hardcast Solitude, which is a huge help. Oh, now I got 2 of them. Now I got Hardcast and Uglycast. And Sheoldred drains them if they loot here. They did take the loot. They're going to 5. Oh, your very own. All right, well, I have the answer to that. I'm ready. Time for big Solitude hours. I feel really good about my position in this game. Boop, you're out of here. I'm at 15. Preordain, I'm just not going to cast that. And Turok has Pro White, so Solitude doesn't have an attack here. Fable flips. End step, I'm going to Solitude the Fable. Or the Reflection of Kiki-Jiki, whatever this thing is called in this mode. I just don't want to deal with more Bowmasters. Nice. Subtlety should pretty much lock this up, I think. And yeah, I'm just not going to put my Sheoldred into harm's way ever. All right, they're channeling Takenuma. They milled a Fury that they just picked up. Subtlety will deal with that. Okay, they're doing some combat. I am going to block with Solitude and Sheoldred. Or no, do I care about... Yeah, all right, Solitude's in the way. Sheoldred's in the way. I am going to do this. I don't think they can make me discard at instant speed. And if they think Fury is going to finish off Sheoldred, they're about to be Shadow Realmed by this Subtlety. Pew pew. Can we get a concession? I think the game is actually over right now. Because I have real attacks now, and they're in trouble. They put Fury on top. Yeah, okay. Yep, they were pretty much maybe actually dead to combat, so they can block, take 4, 1, 2. Yeah. They have no board, and they're redrawing a Fury that they can't cast at 1 life. GG. Let's roll. Just beating up Scam in this league. I like it. The Command Tower software by Eminence Gaming is perfect for hosting TCG events. It features easy-to-create event registration for 1v1 and 4-player Swiss structured tournaments. Event management has never been so simple, and it's web-based, so there's no download required. Get access for just $5 at eminence.event/subscribe. I'm on the draw with a 1-lander that does not have Preordain or Lorien Revealed. I'm going to mulligan. Here we go. A 2-lander with Preordain. I'm going to keep this in bottom 1 of the Bowmasters. Prismatic Ending just has a better emergency mode if I need to zap something on turn 1 like a Rag. Okay, this could be Tron or Hardened Scales. More likely Scales, I think, with the Ballista in the main, but could still be either. And I do have the Triome sequence here that casts Leyline Binding on turn 2 for 1 mana. Exile-based removal, pretty good against Scales. Yeah, Scales confirmed. Inkmoth Nexus over there. Oh shit. Well, that one's hard to beat. I will have to deal with that one later. I'm going to play my Zagoth Triome and pass the turn. Yeah, Ward 2. Kind of a tough beat. I can kill it next turn. Oh no. Well, they have more of those. They're doing a good job playing around Ward 2. Attacking me for 2. And that's all they got. Just going to Flooded Strand and pass here, because if I can Orcish Bowmaster to jack up combat a little bit, and then they have to do weird stuff, and then I Leyline Bind for the punish. Pendlehaven can currently target this automaton, though. Just got to watch out for that. Okay, that's no longer the case. I can still exile either one if they overcommit. I can Bowmaster an Inkmoth Nexus if it wakes up. A Ballista for 1. Alright, this is certainly a lot of permanents. And Agatha's Soul Cauldron. Uh-oh. This thing is a problem. Because if it exiles a Ballista, then these automatons can take -1 counters off, or +1 counters off them and just fuck me up. My plan here is to play Ballista, or not Ballista, play Bowmaster, ping Ballista. Ballista will probably ping Bowmaster back. Ballista ends up in the graveyard. I will Leyline Bind the Soul Cauldron in response to the Exile Ballista ability. Gonna get an island here. Orcish Bowmaster. Shoot Ballista, because that's the thing that can die. They could weld it. Nope, it's gone. So's my Bowmaster. And I don't get an army because I targeted a stupid thing. Okay. Yep, good job, me. Here's where I do this. Get rid of the Soul Cauldron before I'm just dead. I'm still probably just dead. I'm taking 9 here. They are hellbent. Or I'm taking 10 because they do still get the +1. All right, I'm at 6. Yeah, I'm in a lot of trouble here. And Ward doesn't work the way Thalia works. Like Prismatic Ending, you can pay for Thalia with different colors and get more than you're supposed to out of it. Ward is a separate trigger after you've already cast your spell. It doesn't actually make the spell cost more. Currently 1 short of putting Murktide into play. Oh, does that put Murktide into play? It does. Okay. Murktide is smaller than all their stuff, though. What do I even do here? I'm so dead. Do I have an out? It's probably... I actually needed to ping their face last turn and just leave the Ballista in play so I could have a blocker. If I preordain into another Bowmaster, I can block for a turn and maybe advance my board. Okay, I'm actually going to cycle Lorien Revealed first. Get my other basic. Play the basic, play preordain. Now I have a Murktide. Oh, the ring. Okay, bottom to fairy. The ring at 1, not really a place I want to be. Bottom to fairy, bottom of the ring. Okay, Murktide is exactly big enough to trade with one of these, or at least eat their welding jar. And then I can, if they draw an artifact, I lose. If they draw a pump spell of any kind, I lose. Supreme Verdict's not in my deck right now. Ancient Stirrings, alright. Show me one more card in your deck, then I'll concede. Zabaz the Glimmer Wasp, that one will do it. Okie dokie, that was tough. Exactly Patchwork Automaton, and in doubles, is what it took to beat me there. Supreme Verdict comes in, maybe Dress Down, definitely Subtlety. I don't think any of these other cards matter. And Chalice on 0 shuts off some other stuff. Not a whole lot, though. Reprieve is just heinous against this deck, although it is my white count for Solitude. Dress Down turning Ward off is something. I'm not sure how these decks are constructed, but I have to assume they're Urza Saga decks. Oh, Dress Down's going to come in. Teferi seems fine. Honestly, Counterspell seems kind of mid. Once again, this is a deck getting way under me. Like, they might just have lethal on board before I even have 2 blue up for a Counterspell. That's kind of what happened that game. Oh, Soul Cauldron is in the mix too. Unlicensed Hearse could slow that down, but it doesn't impact the board up to that point. I have bindings and endings for Soul Cauldron concerns. Okay, I'm going to stop here with my sideboard, but I could see an argument that we want the Graveyard 8. Okay, a ton of removal spells and lands to cast them. I'm going to keep. Might not be enough, as we saw last game, but I am here for this. And fetching the Zagoth Triome does give me Leyline Binding on turn 2 with the Shocked and Hallowed Fountain. Hardened Scales, okay. This is the type of game plan I actually can interact with. Zagoth Triome, Hallowed Fountain, zap it in. I would like this Hardened Scales gone before it does anything. And then Polluted Delta can fetch the Rockrin Triumph if I need to, or I could just get some other land and cast 2 spells next turn. There's a Saga. Alright, I'm not in a hurry to Dress Down at this point. Ballista for 1. Yep. Dress Down would have killed that, but I think we have bigger problems right now. I'm going to play the Delta, because I'd like the Rockrin Triumph here, and Flooded Strand gets either of my basics. It might be relevant to fetch mana sources that don't hurt me later in this game. Stinkmoth Nexus. No attack. Coward. They've seen Bowmaster, though. Gotta respect it. Get my Triome. Subtlety. Interesting. Okay. That's a someday situation. I can Dress Down and Leyline Bind this turn. Got a lot of routes covered. I doubt they're going to fetch Pithing Needle, but I am going to fetch in response here. And I think I want a Watery Grave. Just put that in tapped. All my colors just covered forever here. I'm going to let them tutor before they see the Dress Down. I don't think there's a thing you can tutor here that saves your constructs from Dress Down. The Ozolith, okay. A red land. Dress Down. Still holding up the binding. What are they doing with red mana? I know Zabaz activates for red, but are there actually red cards in this deck? That would be crazy. I could exile this Ballista now. They still have 5 cards in their hand, and this Ozolith is still in play. I'm actually just going to clear this thing. Putting it in exile means that the Cauldron can never get it. And this is the one chance I'm going to get to remove it while they can't just throw it in the graveyard. Okay. I have 4 reactive instants in my hand that answer different kinds of problems. They have 5 cards in their hand, which is a lot. 2 Inkmoth Nexuses. Automaton. I'm going to Subtlety this. Subtlety is a blocker and an attacker if they just fire up these Inkmoth Nexuses and go somewhere. Also uses my mana better under the counterspell, or for future counterspell considerations. The Solitude can't hit this because of Ward 2. Did they get me with something here? Walking Ballista. I'm not going to Subtlety that. I have Solitude. Get to put the counter onto that. Come on. Prismatic Ending or Leyline Binding. 1 mana answer. Bowmaster. Okay. That does Tangle in combat. Kinda. Alright, I'm going to start attacking. We'll see if I regret that, but I got Bowmaster plus Counterspell, or Subtlety, or Solitude. This is the Patchwork Automaton we saw last turn. I can Bowmaster this before it learns any new tricks. Arcbound Ravager. Do I die to that? If I Bowmaster kill Automaton right now, I have 1 mana left. And then Ravager can go 3, 1 onto Ballista, which goes up to 3, plus the Ozolith. Ballista ends up on 4. Yeah, I think Bowmaster now is fine. Because it's not my lack of answers that's the problem. It's the lack of mana to cast all of them at the same time. And I just got to find the most mana efficient ways to use the most things that I have. And I could just Subtlety this. Don't worry about it for a turn. Alright, I'm going to let them have it and hope it doesn't kill me. No attacks past the turn. Love it. 1 mana answer to something? Okay, that's a 0 mana answer to something, if I need it. Kind of think I have to keep attacking. I see those Inkmoths over there, don't worry. I didn't forget about them. Hardened Scales, annoying. Does Solitude do enough for this? I hope so. Springleaf Drum, okay, 1 card left in your hand. I think when they go for their modular trigger, if they dump into Ravager here, when they go for their modular trigger is when I exile the Ballista. Okay, no play. Can they 15 me here? Oh, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No. And then they put 7 onto this. They can 9 me. And right now they're not moving into combat, so the Ozolith is chill. I'm going to Solitude the Ballista and just make them do whatever they're going to do right now. Make your choices. Or I just don't know how this deck works and I'm dead, but I don't think so. Okay, they are sacking the Springleaf Drum. Ravager's up to 3. I don't know that I would make this play if I didn't have a second Solitude ready. Because they can pile their boat around. They can make like a giant Inkmoth this turn, even if they don't Ballista me out. They could also just like Plague Wind to my board and be left with 2 Inkmoth Nexuses. Okay, killed my Bowmaster. And sacked it to... Okay, they sacked it to the Ravager. Alright, the Ballista's off the table. Now we gotta deal with Ravager plus Inkmoth Nexus. Murktide Regent. But at this point, I'm worried about what, getting poisoned out? Do I keep pushing damage, or is it time to slow down? I think it's time to slow down. What does Murktide do on this board? It's a 4/4 creature. I can still hold up Counterspell. I think Solitude plus blocker under Subtlety is the best way here. I do need to answer this Ozolith eventually, even if they pile onto Inkmoth. Though if they try to modular onto Inkmoth, then Subtlety just eats all the counters. Or it eats half the counters. Because Ravager dying puts them onto the Oz. Oof. This deck is scary. Okay, Ozolith triggers. They get 2 counters onto Inkmoth Nexus because of Hardened Scales. I'm going to block with Subtlety, which is what we're here to do. It's their move right now. Okay, just piling, moving the counters around onto the Oz and stuff. In my end step now, if I Solitude the Ravager, they probably make a huge O under Inkmoth Nexus, but I do get to attack for the turn. Okay, I'm playing Solitude right now, challenging the Ravager, activating the untapped Inkmoth, which they will pile onto, and then the Ozolith also gets a pile of counters. Okay, now I need another Solitude. Though I do have 2 flying blockers to try to tempo through this. I don't hit a land here. That lets me Subtlety and Counterspell. They'll have 2 lethal attackers. This block is so free, I hate it. Okay, I am going to attack. They get to eat one of my creatures for free, but I do have to push damage somewhere. Hopefully they're just like scared of sorcery speed removal, but I don't know if they can even afford to be scared of sorcery speed removal right now. LotR is already in play. That would be the real farm here. Okay, second main. I guess I play Murktide now. This humiliating 4/4 Murktide on turn 9 of my spell-based deck game. Okay, they can put 8 counters onto one of these Inkmoth Nexies. They might diversify to just have 2 monstrous ones, or they might go for 1 15 power thing. They are firing up both, which means they're going to diversify. I only have to block one of these to be alive for a turn. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Murktide is bigger than Subtlety. Yeah, this is 8 damage. A Subtlety, target nothing. Block the 9 power 1. I am in trouble here, though. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, this Murktide just being 4/4 instead of 6/6 is the whole game right now. Something useful? Lorien revealed. Ugh. Draw 3 cards, hope that they're all helpful. And I'm going to do it, leaving up white mana. Draw 3. Preordain, not it. Yeah, that Sheoldred, if that had been my draw for the turn, actually would have won because they would have been at 2. I can preordain up another Solitude. Bottom, Solitude. All right, we're dead. Yeah, Solitude pitching to Fairy answers one of these. I chump the other, and then we keep tempoing, but gonna end up just a little short here. I'm gonna give them the option to play Scared of Solitude because I haven't conceded yet, but I mean, what are you gonna do? Like, you can't just... This is what your deck does. It's gonna happen. There is no bluff here. Or at least not an effective one. All right, GG. 1 removal spell short at the end there. Cool. Hardened Scale is always such a cool deck, and they're getting new tools. The Agatha's Soul Cauldron, giving them kind of a combo endgame, is really sweet. I never am salty to see this deck showing up in the metagame. On to the final round. You come here to level up at Magic. To level up as a software engineer, check out the new YouTube series Dev Better, hosted by the founder of 7 Factor Software and Magic player, Jeremy Duvall. 7 Factor's small teams of high-performing engineers build custom mobile apps, APIs, and highly scalable systems for Fortune 500 companies and ambitious startups with great ideas. If you'd like to hire 7 Factor, or maybe join their team, contact them through their website at 7factor.io. And don't forget to subscribe to 7 Factor's YouTube for every episode of Dev Better. I'm on the play, I think for the first time in the final round. I'm going to keep this hand. And I'm going to lead on Rocker and Triome. I'd rather get my mana under me than just randomly preordain on turn 1, losing 2 life. I can play pain-free this game. I can save preordain to see if I need land number 4 for this 1 ring when we get there, or if I will have land number 4 by then and know that I'm looking for spells. You don't have to cast spells just because they're in your hand. My opponent mulled to 6. Oh, it's this again. This could be Hammer, I guess, but Hardened Scales is kind of in the zeitgeist because of all the new cards they got. There's Sheoldred. That means that at some point I'm going to want the other black source, but Sheoldred plus the ring is a combo. It just casts literally anything here. Let me curve out. All right, Steel Overseer. Fascinating. This could be some kind of like Steel Stompy Affinity hybrid deck, though that card certainly is good with Hardened Scales also. Prismatic Ending. The Mystic Gate's a little awkward, but I guess Watergrave turns it back on. Yeah, I'm just going to preordain off the Rocker and Triome. Land. Cool. Do I want both of these? Both lands line up. Sheoldred into Solitude. Yeah, I'm just going to keep them both top. And play Watery Grave tapped here. I can Solitude something if I need to suddenly stay alive. This feels like a deck that won't be able to answer Sheoldred. I think I lead on her. Or do I always just lead on the ring and get the cards flowing? Yeah, probably lead on the ring. Though, if Saga pops and they tutor an answer to ring, that's a beating. Automaton, my greatest nemesis. It's much better for me on turn 3, though. Okay, Sheoldred or the 1 ring here. I'm gonna play can they just kill me? That's my other concern. Yeah, okay, I'm going to play the ring and just make sure I don't die right now. I have Prismatic Ending for a Pithing Needle anyway. I'm not worried about that. And then I can Fetch Shock, Sheoldred, Prismatic Ending, Ring out on next turn if I need to do all that. And Solitude in the meantime. Yeah, no constructs constructed here. This might just get the Ozolith and set up. Pithing Needle, you got it. Because I have the Prismatic Ending, like I talked about, what if they needle the ring? If I didn't have a clean answer to needle, I think hiding the ring makes sense. But the fact that they just tutored Pithing Needle instead of the Ozolith or Zabaz is pretty awesome. And because I have the answer to it, this kind of is like the One Ring countered their Ursa Saga in like a weird roundabout fashion. Turn 3, Gemstone Caverns. You love to see it. Or it's turn 4, even better. Arcbound Ravager. That is a creature that can be solituded. Agatha's Soul Cauldron. Exiling Steel Overseer is pretty spooky. Okay. You've got a Cauldron. Exiling Overseer. Now all their creatures have the abilities of Steel Overseer, which is pretty good in your deck full of artifact creatures. I could just Solitude the Ravager now, before it gets any bigger, before it learns any new tricks. Yeah, I think that's fine. It's going to happen anyway. Let's just get it. Also, if I Solitude now, then they don't get free money on sacking their Pithing Needle when I Prismatic Ending it next turn. Okay, they are pumping up in response. That gives them extra modular. And they pumped up onto the Automaton, who's now a 6/6. I take 1 from the ring. I have to shock here. Fetch Shock, Watery Grave. Prismatic Ending the Needle. Sheoldred. And draw 2, gain 2. Okay, the engine's online, but so is theirs. Let's see who can make this happen faster. If they can get this Inkmoth Nexus up, I could die right now. Even if you exile Arcbound Ravager, your Automaton doesn't gain modular. It can sacrifice to put a +1 counter on itself, but it doesn't move those counters anywhere. Ozolith, different Ozolith. This is a Hardened Scales. If a +1/+1 counter would be put on an artifact or creature you control, you add an additional one, and then green tap, put a counter on something. Okay, 1 card left in your hand. Soul Cauldron can still activate. They can fire up an Inkmoth Soul Cauldron onto it, which would be 3 poison. Also, Sheoldred's Death Touch, pretty relevant here. If I just block the 7/7, it's dead. Probably not in a big hurry to do that, but it's there. They can also exile my Solitude now. Oh, they activated the wrong one. They got motoed. This one has Summoning Sickness. Okay. Yeah, that's actually really embarrassing. On Moto, you can get like a drop-down menu somehow. Like it will say newly controlled. Yeah, there it is. This blue text right here, newly controlled. This is the one that I played last turn. And the other lands don't say that. Okay, so they miss 5 poison here because of a misclick. I'm not going to complain. I take 2 from the ring. Draw. Sheoldred, do your thing. Ring, gas me up. Draw a bunch of cards, get a bunch of stuff. None of this stuff answers my problem, though, which is a potentially lethal poison creature next turn. I can cast Lorien Revealed. There is still planes in my deck. I think it's fine to fetch that. I'm going to get the planes, and I think I do attack here. Because Bowmaster can handle blocking, if blocking's the thing I need to do. And they can't activate that Inkmoth right now. Okay. I don't really like this. I wish I had found a removal spell of some variety. I'm hoping there ends up a spot where, or I guess it's not even really possible, if they activate the other Inkmoth and then I Bowmaster it. But this is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, it's actually 9 because of the Ozolith. I think they're 1 poison short right now. Or no, because the Inkmoth can sacrifice other artifacts because it does have the ability of Ravager. Yeah, I'm actually just dead. I need them to do something wrong, like attack with a creature that should be activated instead. Here's Inkmoth. Other Inkmoth. Yeah, I'm actually just dead. I bricked on Solitude, which would have completely stabilized the game. No Murktide to block. No removal spell for the Automaton in the main phase. No second ring to get protection. No Teferi to bounce the ring I already have. Okay, here comes... They moved right into combat. And this Pendelhaven currently active also. That sucks. Alright, just attacked with 1. Now we're in a game of chicken, where if they go all in, I can Shadow Realm them with Solitude. They could just take their 5 and be happy with it. But it doesn't... I don't think this game's getting better for them. They exile my Solitude. That puts 2 counters on this Ink Moth. Yeah, this is 7. Activate this, 9. Oh, they put it over there. What does that do? Makes no change. If I Bowmaster that, they just activate Pendelhaven. Yeah, I think I lose by making this play, but I think I lose anyway. I need them to mess up is the only way this works. And they have so many ways to just checkmate this. Tap your Pendelhaven. Sack your creature to other Ink Moth. Like, all this works. Oh, they sack... Oh, it doesn't matter. They didn't activate Patchwork Automaton on the way out. So they missed 2 counters here. It just doesn't matter. Alright, cool. And I take 10 poison. Yeah, I was drawing to like 8, 10, 12 outs there and didn't find any of them, but that's the power of their deck. Supreme Verdict. I think I want Dress Down. I want Subtlety. I want... We've seen this before. Reprieve is bad. Counterspell is mid. The Ring Sheoldred action is good. Bowmaster is fine. Solitude is the best card in my deck. It's either Teferi or Counterspell as my last cut here. I don't really like Counterspell, but I like Teferi less, I think. Going in. I'm on the play with a hand that is only possible because of Lorien revealed. I am going to keep this. This Leyline Binding is a long way off, but I am going to hit my land drops and see some cards, which is what I want out of a hand in general. Lorien revealed making Mystic Gate solo hands capable is, if I didn't already love this card, this would completely turn me onto it. I think I need Watery Grave here, because the Mystic Gate does whatever I need in the blue-white area. They've seen the grave, I'll just shock it in. Counterspell's up. I can Preordain with Counterspell up next turn. Urza Saga. Counterspell my arch nemesis. Get rid of that, and then Teferi's going to bounce this Urza Saga, and I don't need to Preordain now that I have action on this. I'm taking it. Boing. The old cantrip Sinkhole that leaves the Planeswalker in play. They can just activate Inkmoth Nexus and kill Teferi, but that'll cost their whole turn. They won't cast any other spells if that's their line. Probably should do it, though. Okay, played that guy instead. That's fine. Solitude. That's the card I like the most in my entire life. I think I'm just going to jam Sheoldred into play right now. Early and often. All games are better with Sheoldred. Her Death Touch bricks the Automaton, even if it gets too big for it. If they play 4 artifacts this turn, they deserve a trade, I guess. And if they try to go over the top of her, I have the Solitude for the Ink Moth. Go over the Burn Willows. I love the tech. If you're green-red in Modern, you might as well play Grow over the Burn Willows, because some decks have Death Shadow in them. Just love it. I locked a lot of Death Shadow players out of the game back when I was playing KCI combo. If you're just first 2 land drops or Grow over the Burn Willows, and you just put them to 30 or whatever, it blanks half their deck. Ravager is here. A draw for turn, another Solitude. I'm going to Preordain first. I'd like to hit a land drop. Oh, shit. Well, top. Sheoldred gains 2 for that as well. Plus, I have swamps, islands, and I'm about to have a plains. Binding costs 3, which means I don't need to shock this in, because I can only play Binding or Counterspell anyway. I don't get both, so I won't even try. Let's see if they proactively tutor a Needle for my ring, or if they actually get their Ozolith and try to smush through here. They could Needle Teferi, but he's already caused the trouble he's going to cause this game. They did get Needle. They did proactively name the One Ring. I can answer that with my Binding. Zabaz. I can also bounce their Needle and play the One Ring next turn. Zabaz is pretty powerful. I'm going to counterspell this. If they had a Scales effect, they would have played it before Zabaz, I think, unless that was just counterspell bait. Soul Cauldron. Okay, I mean, that one's good. Giving your creatures the activated abilities of Zabaz. That's destroy target artifact you control, and this gains flying. And you can use any color. Okay, they could exile Zabaz, load up Automaton, and fly and kill Teferi right now, if they were so inclined. That's pretty strong. Yep, there it is. Do you want Teferi or do you want my life total? What are you interested in? Probably Teferi. Yeah. And this, of course, has Ward. My greatest pain in the universe. I'm drawing a One Ring. That doesn't work. It does work insofar as I gain protection for a turn, which is kind of like a free attack with Sheoldred. I'm going to attack with Sheoldred. Their only blocker is Ravager, and if they pile onto Ravager, that's just like not even good for them. One Ring, get it in now, and then I can answer the Needle next turn and start drawing cards. Saga, 3 cards left. No attacks. That's how the ring works. I take 0. Also how the ring works. Sheoldred gas me up. And Rockrin Triome does... It's like it makes a mana, because it makes my Leyline Binding cheaper. Okay, bind. If they have Boseiju, they can see what I target and then kill Binding before it actually removes the thing. Uh-oh, green mana in the pool. It's happening. Tight. Okay. Guess I'll put Zagoth Triome into play tapped. And I still don't think I attack. Sheoldred's Death Touch is what I want out of the world right now. Solitude backup. Solitude can hardcast and exile the ward creature next turn. If they go in too hard on Inkmoth Nexus, they just get blasted by the Solitude. They're steadily losing life to Sheoldred in the meantime. Automaton is out under the Cauldron, putting counters on Ravager. If they dismember here, they go to 6, but Sheoldred's gone. That's pretty bad for me, if it happens. They can also just give all these creatures flying and ignore Sheoldred, but that taxes their mana. Soul Cauldron only does creatures. If they can't exile my Teferi and get its activated abilities, that would be completely bonkos. Nexus is doing stuff. It's go time. Currently no creatures in the graveyard to buff this with Cauldron. There's a new spell coming out in the Lord of the Rings. There's like a holiday expansion on the original Lord of the Rings thing with some new cards in it. There's a combat trick. It's like Legolas's quick reflex or something. Split second, untap target creature. It gains all the protection words, and then if it taps this turn, it deals damage equal to its power to something. That's on my mind right now because I'm thinking, what 1 mana card in red and green can protect the Inkmoth Nexus from my Solitude right now if they go in? And I mean, there's like Finds of the Vastwood, and there's a lot of things that do this. I don't know if those are played in this deck or not, or which one specifically. Tamiyo's Safekeeping. These are all cards that exist in Magic. They just tanked for a very long time, and now they're moving into combat. I think I'm just on no blocks here. As the Sheoldred has gained plenty of life, I'm not worried about regular damage, and if they pile in on Infect, I'll deal with that later. But Sheoldred is both keeping me alive and killing them right now. Okay, yeah, just take some damage, take nothing from the ring, regain half the life I just lost, play a land. Not the draw I was looking for. The constructs are going to be out of control this turn. Okay, can Solitude hold the fort until I win? It's not looking good. I need them to draw 4 more cards this game before they gain any life, which Solitude does give them. And this turn they can attack with 2 Inkmoth Nexuses. Okay, you lose some life here. There's definitely some lethal Ozolith tricks that exist. I'm not going to fetch in response, because if they have a second Needle and they turn off my Flooded Strand when I have tons of mana already, then that only benefits me. And this might come down to 1 damage between 21 and 20 on this fetch. Like, it's not just free to do that. Firing up a Nexus. They're sacking stuff to Ravager. That's a million counters on this. Ozolith. Looks like big poison is the plan. And once they sack the Ravager, that makes Soul Cauldron able to give the Inkmoth Nexus, sack an artifact, put a +1 counter on this. This is going to be about choosing my spot for Solitude and hoping they don't have a Tamiyo safekeeping type effect in their hand. Okay, we're in combat. They have targeted Inkmoth Nexus with the Ozolith. This is not lethal yet, so I'm not going to do anything. I can block Ravager if that attacks. The Construct probably should attack, unless they're planning on dumping the Ravager. Alright, yep, no blocks here. I'll go to 6 poison if nothing else happens. Cool. Blocking Ballista, that's a problem. Is it a problem? Well, it's in... Oh, they cast it for 0. Fascinating. Alright. Oh, this has Infect? Is that how this works? Gross. Do I lose now? Wow. Yeah, that is how that works. Okay, well, I'm going to Solitude the Inkmoth Nexus that's active. If they can get 4 +1/+1 counters on their other one. Oh no, I was supposed to wait until they actually exile that? No, but then everything... No, I couldn't because the +1 trigger doesn't even matter there. Yeah, they just fire up their other Nexus and they win. That's so cool. Yeah, this is new cards at work. I have not seen the interaction of creature with Infect and Inkmoth Nexus. Alright, yeah. They're going to get me here. Cool trick. Yeah, because once the Ballista's under that, they had... Yeah, that would have worked. There was no spot I could make that happen. If I had another white card right now, I could pitch the Solitude and pick this off, and then we're back on chillin'. But that is not the case. We are dead for Xaxes. They have 4 counters on this thing. Cool. Yeah, the Pithing Needle on the One Ring proactively was a great play, and then using Beseiju to protect it was smart. I'm a white card away from stability here, and I just don't have one of those. That was sweet. Okay, we beat Scam twice, and we lost to Hardened Scales twice. Beating Scam is a good place to be. Figuring out how to beat Hardened Scales, I don't know if that's a huge part of the metagame now, or if it's just popular at this moment because it got some new cards, or what the story with that is, but it is certainly a blind spot. We ended up a little short both times. After the league, I think Reprieve sucks. I had concerns about it going in this deck, at least. Like Reprieve and Remand, this is a spiritual successor of Remand. Remand was in decks that either get under you and then just bounce your spell and make you dead, tempo you out, or they aren't trying to play a long game, like Scape Shift is a good example. The old standard Reanimator decks, they were called Solar Flare at the time. Another example where it's like, bounce your 3-drop, bounce your 4-drop, now I'm going to play a card on turn 5 or 6 that just kills you outright, which is not how this deck plays at all. If these Reprieves were Archmage Charms, another Sheoldred, another Bowmaster, basically any other card in this deck that I'm not already playing 4 of, I think I'd rather turn Reprieve into, and then Archmage Charm also on the list of suitable candidates to be in that spot. Could also play like Jace the Mind Sculptor, but I guess the One Ring's already mostly doing that. Could main deck some Subtleties, could main deck some Chalices, could main deck some Supreme Verdicts. We could play Sauron's Ransom. There's a lot of stuff that could be in this slot, but this is the slot I was least happy with. But for the most part, though, this deck held its own positive record and was 2-0 versus Scam, which is the current boogie person of the format. And I'm happy to leave that there. Rio, thank you for the Esper kind of mid-range tempo you control take on this deck. It was a good start. I think we can make it better. And thank everyone for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon, and I'll see you next time.